FM, and streamed online. And on WMKR, Genuine Country 94.3.
Hi there, my name is Logan Henry, and I am the senior student of the month. My parents are Melissa Beeson and Patrick Henry. My extracurriculars is FAA. My interest is gaming, community service, books, and walking. My future plans is to become a welder. My favorite subject is history, ag, and consumer ed.
People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, salutes these great Taylorville High School students on this honor and wish them the best in their future. People's Bank and Trust, member FDIC.
Just Beds are the yawn exterminators, and they can give you a better night's sleep. Choose from Bemco, Chatham & Wells, Sealy, Simmons, and Tempur-Pedic. Find out the many models and styles available on their updated website by clicking their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Hello, this is Dr. Bill Byers, and winter is here, along with all those aches, pains, and injuries. So let me or Dr. Harbert at Byers Chiropractic in Pana help you with all those needs. For more information, go to byerschiro.com or click on my banner ad at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Taylorville schools promote student success because Taylorville schools are A+. This is Superintendent Brandy Bruley inviting you to find out all the great things happening with our students and staff when we sponsor the Taylorville Schools Good News segment the first Thursday of each month at 8:40 during the WTIM morning show. You'll hear from students, staff, and administration about how we promote student success every day. Listen for our Good News segment each month on the WTIM morning show, and go Tornadoes.
WTIM. You're listening to WTIM, your information station. And this segment of the WTIM morning show is brought to you by People's Bank and Trust and Landmark of Taylorville. And Jim Baker, Chief Deputy of the Christian County Sheriff's Office, if I could use my words, is here to join us here today. And we're talking a little bit here just about some various things. But Jim, first and foremost, how are you doing this morning, sir?
I'm doing really good. I'll have to apologize ahead of time. I probably got that lingering, won't go away cough, so I'll do my best to get through this. But doing good. Glad to have been, fortunately for me, I missed the big snowstorm. I was on a vacation, but got some information to update us on how that was handled while I was gone, and was in constant contact during that. So.
Well, and we'll call it a rough time almost to go on vacation then for you when that hit, but also in some ways probably a pretty excellent time to go on vacation yes. as well. Glad to know that you didn't leave anybody hanging or anything like that, and you were actively involved. And let's start there with the operations update and what the last month has been for the Christian County Sheriff's Office.
Okay. Yeah. So as usual, I like to just throw something out there of the activity that Sheriff's Office has seen over the past 30 days. And these aren't exact because the computer printing I just put in there the last month. And approximately we've generated 27 incidents reports. And out of those 27 incidents reports, it resulted in 4 criminal arrests, 4 warrant arrests, and 4 major traffic arrests, whether that would be a DUI, suspended or revoked driver. In addition to our what I would call assigned activity, there's also proactive self-initiated activity. And by that, I mean, the deputies done 64 location checks throughout the month, where they would basically go to vacation patrols. If you're out of town, we check your residence, check businesses, rattle the doors, kind of things like that, extra patrol. We had 64 of those. And then in addition to that, they attempted 98 paper services, and 67 of those were successful. So pretty standard month. We did respond to 18 vehicle crashes, and that was a large drop over the 2 previous months, but it's because of the deer crashes that slowed down. Okay. So we only responded to 18 vehicle crashes.
And really with the snowstorm, you'd almost think that might have been a little bit of a boost even there to that. And really, that's not something I would have thought about as the deer crashes having been that much so, but then we get those and we read those here and you go, there are a lot of deer out there.
There are a lot of deer crashes. Now, with that, I will say the snowstorm impacted it more with what I would label as disabled or abandoned vehicles.
Okay.
It seems like you do have those rare occasions where somebody slides into another vehicle, and we have more of those post the snow, because when it starts glazing over and icing, and that leftover frozen impact roadways are the ones that cause more of the accidents. That's not to say that we can't have a random one, but typically when the snow falls, it's going to be a heavy wet snow. The problem that persists is people forgetting how to drive in the snow. So for instance, we responded during that 2-day 5th and 6th snowfall. We responded to approximately 49 disabled abandoned vehicles. And by that, I mean, they call, hey, I'm in the ditch, I need help. Hey, I need a wrecker. So if you think about that, in a 2-day period, we had almost 50, shy of 50 vehicles that were disabled, abandoned, or in the ditch. And I know, people, everybody wants to try and make it to work, but then and typically I used to kind of laugh at people's like, oh, these roads are so bad and the county's not doing, county and state need to do more. And I was driving around in a Crown Vic, and could make it in a 2-wheel drive vehicle. But it was always, you practiced, well, it does me no good if I don't get there.
Right.
If people slow down, pay attention to it, but we all forget. And, that's part of the problem.
I've got to say, I appreciate you saying it. It does seem like something has happened here in Central Illinois where folks just didn't get enough snow for a couple of years and just completely forgot what it's like getting behind that wheel, as if we weren't used to snow. So it's funny to hear you say that. And 49 disabled or abandoned vehicles over that snowstorm. I believe it got to level 2 of the 3 levels. Could you explain that a little bit for the listeners? And is that something that you're working with the county on, or is that something how does that process go to determine a snow emergency level?
So that was developed basically as put together. Each sheriff's department or sheriff's office works in conjunction with their local, they call it ESDA, EMA, your emergency management systems. And then there's a guideline that's put out for the roadways that we mock through the Illinois State Police or through IDOT. And basically, we adopt that as a policy. And throughout a snowstorm, the sheriff will make announcements and determine if it's going to go up or down in a level. Level 1, hey, the roads could be slick. Level 2 takes it to impaired driving with limited visibility. And then, you increase all the way up from there, that you could get impassable roadways that are more level. And oftentimes when we put that level out, it's misconstrued that it's like, well, what do you mean I can't? That's not us telling you don't go to work. Right. That's our responsibility to try and give you an idea of what they are, what the road conditions are, because we rely on the deputies that have been out at midnight when sheriff and I are trying to make a decision at, 4:30, 6 in the morning. What are the road conditions? What do we need to do? And what do we need to keep the travelers safe with? So that's why it's designed to try and pick what it is. Same way when we put like a level 2 bumps it up to where travel's suggested limited.
Yes.
Well, we're not out ticketing people for being out. This isn't, it's not part of martial law. But we have to issue citations. If it's in the level 2, it's our operations procedure to say, look, you've impeded the roadway. We tried to tell you that it's a level 2. You drove with limited or no visibility. And if it comes down to a citation because your vehicle is blocking the roadway and we can't get a snowplow through, that's where the misunderstanding is, that we're not out trying to ticket people for movement.
Sure.
It's for them impeding emergency service movement.
And that is a great distinction, because I think when you look at it, you have a chance to misconstrue it. But when you are able to explain it thoroughly, I think that is very different from even how I exactly almost took it. So it's almost really a question for me there. And when you think about the 49 disabled or abandoned vehicles, and if they are impeding the roadway, then you're just stopping some other person from getting that same help that you just needed.
Yes.
And I think that is a very important distinction between those two things. So I appreciate you touching on that there. And right now it's the winter months. Everybody knows that it's cold and that they're wanting those cars to get started. What are some recommendations maybe for those that are, hey, I'm leaving in 10 minutes or I'm leaving in 15 minutes. I'm going to let that car warm up. how are we making sure that we're staying safe doing so?
Well, and it's something that's a oversight that people don't think about until you get that call, hey, my vehicle's no longer in my driveway. So if we go that route, when you have a vehicle that you're warming up, obviously for those that are thinking the opposite, it's good maintenance on your behalf or your lifespan of your vehicle. Don't jump in and turn the key over in 20 degrees and take off out the driveway. Remind your children of that. You want that car to warm up, get the oil temperature up. With that being said, we need to do that, and think of security. If you're going to let your car sit out in the driveway and your car doesn't have automatic start, you want to have a spare key fob, spare set of keys, and don't just start it, let it sit out there and run with the keys in it, because once or twice throughout the county, it may be nothing more than a 15-year-old taking it for a joyride, and then you've put it in the snowbank and you're one of them disabled abandons.
Mm-hmm.
But it could also be that somebody's actually, preying on those people to be out there letting your car warm up without being secured.
And you just never know. Really, it's really just more so to make sure that you are safe in doing so. And again, it's not that you don't maybe understand that folks want to warm it up, and heck, you're recommending the exact opposite. Make sure to warm it up for a minute.
Sure.
That's not good on the card to just let it go.
Well, and that's why the deputies' cars, sometimes, we have them sitting in the parking lot running too, that we're 24/7 operation. Most police departments, when it gets this cold, you want that car warming up. So if they're going to do a report, but they've got to go back the other deputy up and run out hustle out the door and get in the car. You want that car warmed up to where we may be going for life safety measures where they've got, roads are clear, but 10 degrees outside, you can't get in that car. That oil's, like rock.
Yeah.
It's got to be warmed up, smooth, and ready to run to where if we've got to do high speed, a urgent drive, that's why those cars are warmed up. So that's a good tip. You want that vehicle warmed up in good working order for this cold weather.
And it's interesting you mentioned that, because for the first time I noticed that fully when I saw a police car, and it was just sitting there idling. And my exact thought was that if in a moment's notice, I've got to get to where I need to get to, I don't really necessarily maybe have the time to wait. And all of a sudden, how does
the temperature gauge?
Yep. Yep. And so in the summertime, we do it a little bit differently, maybe, but in the wintertime that is running, and that is really for the public safety and being able to get to that place just as fast. Well, Chief Deputy Jim Baker is joining us here, and we've already flown through 11 minutes. So we're going to take our first break here on the WTIM Morning Show. That's brought to you by People's Bank and Trust and Landmark of Taylorville. We'll come back around. We'll talk a little bit more about operations here in Christian County on WTIM, your information station.
Your information station, WTIM.
Chip Flory here, inviting you to join the conversation as we tackle the current issues of agriculture every weekday morning at 10:06 on the Talk of Central Illinois, News Talk WTIM. I host AgriTalk, the nation's longest-running interview show dedicated to discussing agriculture issues with the newsmakers, and include you in the conversation via our toll-free number. We're here weekdays mornings at 10:06. We are AgriTalk.
If you're 40 and over, you'll recognize these artists by their first names: Frank, Dean, Sammy, Andy, Nat, Diana, Michael. Well, here's the big news. You can now hear Central Illinois' largest music library with over 3,500 songs on air and online at 965thechill.com. Tune in on the FM dial in Christian County and on your computer or smartphone. Hear these great artists and many more 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 965thechill.com.
It's no secret that employers are having a difficult time hiring qualified personnel, whether full or part-time. The Miller Media Group wants to help you, the employer, to find the candidates you're looking for. That's why we've created IllinoisJobPost.com. That's IllinoisJobPost.com. This website is part of a broad radio and internet employment campaign available through the Miller Media Group. Contact your account manager or email sales@randyradio.com for more information. IllinoisJobPost.com is where we put the power of radio and the internet to attract prospective candidates.
There's only one Central Illinois radio station that brings you the memories of the 60s and early 70s as you are cruising down the streets of your hometown. The dial position is 98.3 FM. The station is 98.3 WSVZ. From Macon to Vandalia and I-55 to I-57, cruising 98.3 plays the hits from early Elvis in the 60s to the British invasion of the Beatles, Herman's Hermits, and many more from the 1960s. Then we swing into the early half of the 1970s with artists like the Guess Who, the Doobie Brothers, and Elton John. Every song brings back something you remember about growing up. Set a button and crank up the station, playing good time rock and roll from the Tower of Power, cruising 98.3 WSVZ.
Craig's Realtors continues to be the market leader in Christian County, closing more sales in the first half of 2024 than anyone else. Owner Steve Craig's here, inviting you to let us work for you by clicking on my icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
With over 8 hours a day of agriculture programming weekdays and 2 hours on Saturdays, WTIM AM, FM, and online is your ag information station. Listen by tuning in on air or online and listen to WTIM Ag podcasts anytime.
Your information station, WTIM.
You're listening to WTIM, your information station, and joining us back around here in segment number 2 of the WTIM Morning Show is Chief Deputy Jim Baker of the Christian County Sheriff's Office. And we've been talking a little bit about snowstorms. We've been talking about the emergency levels. Where is the best place for the public to be able to go and find that information on the fly? Because everybody knows you want the news now, and where might be the best way for them to go do so?
Yeah. So with, a few years ago, it was all you had to call in the sheriff's office and say, hey, where's this at? And then we progressed into the Facebook, and we would post things and people could go to the Facebook.
Okay.
Currently, the best suggestion is we have a public safety app. The app is where we post everything, and it also mirrors over to Facebook.
Okay.
The difference is sometimes we put things on the app that's not actually on Facebook. And for instance, on that app over a 2-day period, I was just looking back. We had everything from where the road was closed, snow emergency posting tied to the National Weather Service that's true to Christian County, closure of the courthouse, and 4 additional snow emergency, basically like we were talking the levels. So anybody out there can get the sheriff's app from going to their app store. We've got it posted on our Facebook with, we'll do an update on that just after this segment, of a QR code. And you can, once you get it, you can share it from family member, phone contact to phone contact. But the sheriff's app's going to post everything: road closures, levels, courthouse closure, any pertinent information, floods throughout the year. That's just going to be the go-to. And you can set those push notifications to receive that very important information as it's happening, instead of, hey, us going back 2 days ago and explaining something. Right. You're getting it now. So we're really excited about that. That's how we put stuff out. That is where I tell people, if you ask, hey, how's the best way to stay connected? Facebook is hey, this is what happened. Mm-hmm. This is, hey, this is what is happening.
Okay. And 2 very different things in that regard. And also it gives you the opportunity for one statement to kind of cover the entirety of the department. And also this is exactly how we want it to go out. This is what we want for you to know. And a thing that comes to my mind is that gas leak that happened just a few months back. That would have been very important for some of those on that street or in that relative area to immediately receive that notification of.
Yeah. When we're talking emergency services and getting information out, that's the most important. Whether, we're in a neighborhood looking for an armed subject, lock your doors. Hey, don't go down that road because the water's going over it. Yeah. That app has given us the opportunity to feed that information instantly. And we do have, if you don't want to receive non-emergency news, to say, hey, we've got something coming up for a scholarship, or somebody dropped off, we want to thank them publicly for dropping something off, generous gift to the shirt. When I say that, we have people all the time, hey, we're going to bring you, we've had restaurants bring us food, different things like that. We do have that notification where we just want to recognize them. It's content. It does you no good to have an app or a social media service that if you're not keeping things up, why would people go look at it?
Right.
We don't put things out there just to be putting it out there. You can put non-emergency service notifications off and receive only pertinent, if we get we're over a mining area. If we have a sinkhole and the road's closed, your phone goes off. We tell you that.
Yeah.
You don't have to go back and say, hey, did you hear about yesterday?
Yeah.
That's what the objective was in getting that. And there's a multitude of other services on there, vacation patrol, stuff like that we're really proud of to better serve the community through the app. All the tabs, buttons, information on there, but primarily my biggest thing is that I like the way that I could inform the public instantly of things that are of importance.
Absolutely. Just about a minute to go, Chief Deputy. But in terms of those non-emergency services, we've hit on so much of the emergency services. Could you expand for just a moment on some of those non-emergency services and some things going on with you?
Sure. So just like that, we would be posting on that app for things that are not of emergency, but it is stuff we want the public to know. For instance, recently we've got positions open in the corrections officers, the dispatchers, and up and coming, we would put notification out that we would basically be doing a testing. We anticipate doing a deputies testing late February or March. So those are the things that we would also use it toward. And we welcome people to see about applying for any of those application jobs would be posted there, and the information on how to get an application will be posted on the app.
Well, great stuff. And Chief Deputy Jim Baker joining us here on the WTIM Morning Show. Visit them at their app to find out more, emergency or non-emergency. You're listening to WTIM, your information station. This interview brought to you by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville.
WTIM.
Israeli Prime Minister says his cabinet will not consider the agreement until Hamas stops trying to win more concessions and honors every aspect of the Gaza deal. Trump Attorney General nominee Pam Bondi goes back before the Senate Judiciary Committee today. It's day 2 of her confirmation hearing. Among the nominees yet to appear for their hearings, RFK Jr. for Health and Human Services Secretary, National Intelligence Director nominee Tulsi Gabbard, and Kash Patel for FBI Director. President Biden delivered several warnings last night in his farewell address to the nation from the Oval Office. On Wall Street this morning, stocks are in the red. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is down about 106 points, while the NASDAQ is off 51, the S&P 6 points lower. More details at srnnews.com.
Hey everybody, Charlie Kirk here. Making America Great Again starts with making America healthy again. I lost 40 pounds with the PhD weight loss and nutrition program, and 2 years later, I haven't gained a pound back. I started the PhD weight loss and nutrition program because I needed to be healthy to keep up with my crazy schedule. Most people start a weight loss program to get healthier. So why is Big Pharma spending millions to convince you to use their weight loss injections that do just the opposite? Do your homework. Weight loss injections have harmful side effects and lifelong dependency. Take a natural approach that isn't connected to Big Pharma's bottom line. PhD changes the way you think about food. You'll learn to quiet cravings and finally release the unhealthy belly fat. PhD weight loss is leading the charge to make America healthy again. Text the word healthy to 717767 or visit myphdweightloss.com. That's the word healthy to 717767. It's worked for me. It'll work for you. 717767. Text the word healthy.
With SRN Sports, I'm George Williams. American tennis player Taylor Fritz is donating prize money he earned.
WTIM.
This is Grayson Bauman reporting. The Christian County Health Department remains committed to those in the community it serves, from vaccines and car seat checks and even environmental testing. Joe Torres, Environmental Director of the CCHD, and Diana Voiles, Director of Nursing, joined the WTIM Morning Show to discuss pertinent information surrounding the health and well-being of the community. Voiles starts by sharing the recent increase in upper respiratory illness rates that are hitting residents following the holidays.
It is that wonderful season where everyone is going to run around with the runny nose and the coughs, and then it gets into the chest, and sometimes it can get worse. And then they end up in a hospital, and we test them, and they test positive for things like, of course, COVID. Then they test positive for norovirus, which you can't do anything about. You just kind of have to let that take its way. But then we have the dreaded RSV. Now, RSV is the same for children as it is for adults. And currently in our area, Taylorville Memorial Hospital says, hey, we've had an uptake in that. And the folks that I'm seeing being admitted and going into an ICU are more of the folks that are age 60, 65. And it's horrible. We don't have a treatment for RSV. We have a vaccine